Welcome to the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast focused on spirituality, personal development, healing, and transformation to inspire you to live your ultimate potential and an epic life. I'm your host, Dr. Nikki Starr, a former medical doctor born into a lineage of Colombian shamans and healers with a mission to reach millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind to co-create heaven on earth. As a spiritual teacher, transformational life coach, shamanic healer, and energy strategist, I am passionate about empowering people to connect to your multidimensional aspects and your creator power to live your highest potential timeline with more ease and grace. Every week, we cover topics in all areas of life, including love, relationships, career, business, mindset, manifestation, esotericism, wellness, and more. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. I am Dr. Nikki Starr, your host, and today we will be talking all things aging gracefully, the fountain of youth, and timelessness. So I'm going to get right to it. And some of the concepts I'm going to share in today's podcast may be a bit out there. And I felt it was important to share because when anyone asks me what my age is, I do not share anymore. And I did this experiment. And essentially when I had my spiritual awakening in about 2012, 2013, I started to receive the intel not to share my age anymore for several reasons. One of the reasons had to do with the fact that my clients and the people I was meant to work with and reach were both older than me and younger than me. And because people often place judgment on age, it didn't serve to share my age because oftentimes people would just think I was close to their age, and that's the best. So they feel a resonance. So that started happening in that sense. And I feel that a lot of society puts judgment on age when age is really just a number. But it's really just a number because at the cellular level, at the level of your nervous system, at the level of your muscles and your body based on your flexibility and agility, age is more of a physical determination than it is something that we measure based on the number of years we've been on Earth in this incarnation. And that's another reason why I feel age is somewhat irrelevant, except in a few cases, which I will share, is because we are timeless. We have so many lifetimes before this lifetime, and a lot of our wisdom comes from past lives and also this life, but you can be a 10-year-old and be a prodigy when it comes to playing the piano, and it has nothing to do with your Earth years. So I feel that when we say our age, it does an injustice to the lineage of information we're carrying with us, the lineage of experience, skills, and wisdom that we have, because age is just a number. And society creates a projection, and there's judgments around when you are a certain age that you are meant to do this and you're meant to be like this. And I've seen 5-year-olds who are more mature than 25-year-olds. So to be honest, age really does not mean much except for what society, when they ask you to fill out questionnaires, like, how old are you? I think even that's irrelevant, to be honest, because it is not true that we get sickness with age. It is not true that your age is going to determine your level of fitness at all. At all. There are monks that are strong and living over 100 years old that have the life and vitality of someone much younger, just as there are young people, young based on Earth years, who are completely out of shape and are at risk for heart attack, and they're only 30 years old, right? So age is completely irrelevant when we're determining health. Age is completely irrelevant when we're determining anything, really. It's just a measure of how many Earth years you've lived. But here's the thing, time is also irrelevant. If you're like me and you're operating in and out of timelines, you're operating in and out of dimensions, it's kind of irrelevant when you're talking about Earth years. And even time is, when you think of time, it's like this portal. Just like, have you ever had an experience where 20 minutes felt like 1 minute or 1 minute felt like forever? It's like when you're having a great time and time flies by, or if you're super bored and you're like, oh my gosh, can't we just get to the end of this? So time also is warped based on our perception of it. So age and time don't go together, actually. And this is one of the other realizations I came to when I had my spiritual awakening, that I can operate in and out of time, and thus sharing my Earth years was irrelevant. And if anything, it was doing harm to my physical body, because the truth is your physical body takes on what you tell it. So if you remember back to one of the first few episodes, I talked about how thought forms can create disease. And the same is true in the sense of age, because if you believe what society tells you about age, then you're going to tell your body, okay, now you need to have these symptoms, or now you need to go on prescription medications for your cholesterol levels. And none of that is true. You don't have to do any of that. And so I did this experiment. So in 2013, 2012, I didn't share my age at all with anyone. Even when I would go to appointments, I would say the year I incarnated, because that is a point in time, versus saying the number of years, because with the work I do with clients, we're doing timeline healing. So we go to the future, we go to the past. And I think sometimes I gain youth, or, I think it's funny because I've seen people and they're like, you're not aging, or you just seem younger, or whatever, right? Everyone has their perception, but I've gotten this feedback before. And it was really funny. So I didn't share my age. I was super strict about it because it was this experiment I was doing. And I also didn't wear a watch. The reason why I don't wear a watch is because you're tethering your body and your cells to time. So if I'm operating in and out of time, I'm still keeping track by wearing a watch. So one of the greatest anti-aging advices that I can give to you is don't wear a watch, because it keeps your body timeless when you don't wear a watch. Otherwise, you're keeping track. You have your phone, you can have other clocks or watches around you, but you don't have to have it on your personal body. You can keep it in your bag, but do not wear it strapped, because then you are telling your cells how old they are. Your mind is the most powerful thing. Your mind is telling your body what to do. Like, remember, the brain is the motherboard of the body. So whatever the brain tells the body is what the body is like, okay, sure, yes, your wish is my command. So my advice to you is, I would, if I were you and you were wanting to age gracefully, and if anything, like reverse aging, I would stop sharing age, because you're just solidifying time into your cells, into the body, and also not wear a watch. So then what happened was, over the pandemic, I was sharing about some experiences I had, and then I started talking about like people I was quarantining with, and then sharing about age differences. And then people started to be able to do the math, and then more and more people started to realize how old I was. And then all of a sudden I got gray hair. And it was like the projection of other people knowing my age affected my age. It is really a fascinating thing. And so I know firsthand from experience that if you are affirming your Earth years and others know your Earth years and they're affirming it back to you, then you are entering into the matrix of what should happen at what age. And so it was a very interesting experience. They like all of a sudden came in those months, and it was just like the weirdest thing. But now I go back to not sharing my age, and I feel like, again, I'm feeling like a different sense of vitality. And the reason why I also don't believe in subscribing to society's idea that with age comes certain things, specifically with women. So ladies, if anyone ever told you like, oh, you're this age, so you better get on baby making, none of that is true. Even ancient tribes, native peoples basically believe, which is obvious physiologic science, that as long as a woman has her period, she can get pregnant. So all of that talk of like, oh, this age, that age, or the risk of this, the risk of that, if you believe that to be true, that will be your experience. So we're actually creating worry in women that then can create different kinds of complications in pregnancy. And we're seeing infertility rates go skyrocket. Whereas if you just trust in the makeup of your body and the physiology of your body, like know that as long as you are getting a period, you are releasing an egg. As long as you are releasing an egg, regardless of how old you are, you can still have children. So please do not believe in any of the biological clock ticking rubbish, because it is. And I know this is quite a grand statement to make, but part of my work is about empowering people, both men and women. So specifically, I'm empowering women right now to have faith and trust in the mechanism of your body and not what society or doctors tell you about your fertility. So you can have children for as long as you have your period. So keep going, keep trying, keep living your life, and honor your timeline, whatever that is. The other thing I want to say about timelessness and aging gracefully is one of the things that, this is a commentary, this is my opinion, but one of the things that I really feel is that, and this is it's happening to ladies and to men, is a lot of the injectables that we're seeing. To be honest, I don't feel that it makes anyone look younger. It just makes you look like you had work done. So aging gracefully is when you really allow your body's natural process to happen, and there's things that you can do. You're better off doing lasers or machines or different kinds of microneedling therapies to increase collagen than to do a filler, because the filler will change the shape of your face. It will make you look different than you look. And I share this because I was going to be a dermatologist, and I did inject Botox for some period of time after I became a medical doctor. I worked in some medical spas and plastic surgery clinics that I was planning to do, like open up an anti-aging clinic. So this is actually a topic that's really near and dear and close to my heart. But then I went through my spiritual awakening, and I realized so much of anti-aging is in energy work and energy healing and minimizing stress in your life, and how there's so many different types of supplements that can support you in staying younger. Now, for the sake of time, because it's its own podcast, I could share so many supplements, but essentially you want to increase anything that is supportive from an antioxidant perspective, as well as the collagen perspective. And I also find that working out keeps mass, because one of the things that happens with aging traditionally, if you're not an active person, is you lose mass, you lose muscle. And this is kind of what creates the wrinkly, shriveled, saggy kind of experience that some people experience with aging. But if you stay fit and you work out and you move your body and you stay active, you're not going to deal with a lot of that. And then supplement wise, you want to eat, and even food wise, you want to eat as organic as possible. You want to minimize sugars. You want to minimize gluten, dairy, because even if you think about dairy, like it's meant for babies. Like cows make milk for their babies. When you were a baby, you likely drank your mother's milk. And even if you were formula fed and not breastfed, that milk still came from an animal that created it for a baby. So we're not babies. Like, let's not have milk, right? Because the way the body processes it and the inflammation in the body, want to minimize any form of inflammation. Really increasing it, like I mentioned, just to reiterate, increase as much, like things like vitamin C or even antioxidants, right? All forms of berries, resveratrol. You also want to minimize toxins. So a lot of people in our society are drinking, smoking still, even smoking marijuana or things like this. Like, stop smoking. Like, that smoke goes into your pores in your skin, and your skin will not be as glowing and radiant and elastic. It actually interferes with the fibers of elasticity. So minimizing toxins. Same thing with alcohol. Alcohol is a neurotoxin. It's depleting your B vitamins. You're also not going to feel your most energized best self. And a lot of age is like aging gracefully is about how much energy. One of my grandmothers, who I will have on this podcast at some point, she's like 92 years old. And this woman is driving. She's active in her community. She's so young, even though her earth years are 92. And it's about her energy, how she sees life, her zest for life. So anything you're doing that's like dimming your light and your zest for life, you want to clear and get rid of that. And a lot of aging gracefully is when you still have that zest for life. So you still have your bucket list. You still have things you're doing, things you want to do, things you've never done before. You're enhancing your time on the planet to the max. Also, your community and how much love is in your life. Like being in love is one of the greatest things to support you in aging gracefully. You also want to forgive, because forgiveness is not forgiving. So having resentment is poison in the body. So forgiveness can take years off your life. And I feel like we may have a podcast on forgiveness, but also in a lot of my programs, especially women in my Ultimate Woman program, I have forgiveness rituals that I share and things that are so important to support you in forgiving others. Because any type of that taking our energy when we don't forgive someone, they have power over us. And that's a whole other can of worms. So I'm kind of just in this episode, just giving you some ideas, some bullet points on what supports you in aging gracefully. Also, as I already mentioned, energy work. In some of the first podcasts, I talked about how our aura is our future. So the more you take care of your aura and the more you take care of your energy, the more you're supporting your youthfulness. It is part of the fountain of youth. So are orgasms and having incredible sex, because that's the engine. That's 85% of our life force is living in our sexual energy. So if you practice Tantra, at least you know a few Tantra techniques to really learn how to move that energy in the body. This can be so supportive for you. And so ladies, I have my Journey to the Beloved program that's really supportive for that. And also there's a few other courses that include in my Ultimate Energy course. I do share about how to move sexual energy in the body as well. And there's Ultimate Energy Level 1 is where you must begin. And then you can go into Level 2 as well. So learning how to move the energy in your body so that that sexual life force, which is just creative life force, it's just life force, moves throughout your body. This will keep you young as well. And it's interesting because for men and women, it's different. The more women orgasm, the more glowing, radiant you are. With men, you actually want to hold your semen. You want to learn how to orgasm without ejaculating. So you want to learn how to feel the pleasure without losing your energy and your life force through your semen. And with women, there's even tantric and Taoist practices that support you in minimizing the loss of energy during your menstrual cycle, because that's the equivalent. So how men lose the energy and life force through ejaculating through their semen, women, we lose our life force through our periods, through our cycles, by shedding that blood and that tissue and all those stem cells. So there's a lot of different techniques and ways that you can learn to retain that life force energy. And Tantra is one of those fountains of youth. So it's something I highly recommend for singles and couples to learn some basic practices in Tantra, because this will be supportive for you in feeling vital and feeling young, and then also looking it as well, because that depletion won't be there. Sleep, we get to the next one. Sleep is so important for aging gracefully. In sleep is when we regenerate the organs, the tissues, the cells. And so it's like an obvious one, but I cannot stress it enough. Also meditation. Meditation takes years off your life. And in the bonus content of this module, I'm going to be sharing a very specific meditation that supports aging gracefully, that's anti-aging, that is the fountain of youth. And also when you meditate, you don't need to sleep as much, because in meditation, the body is also regenerating itself. Then we have all kinds of biohacking, like cryo chambers and cold plunges. Cold plunging helps to reset your hormone levels. And there is different types of energy machines, like aside from the energy machine, there's also hyperbaric oxygen chambers. There's sensory deprivation tanks. You also have devices like the Healy, for example. And so I'm now a distributor of the Healy. I love this machine, especially the professional level. And I'll have a podcast dedicated to the Healy, but I'm going to start sharing it where it's applicable. And before I already had episodes planned out. And so before I really start sharing about the Healy, just know that it is a device that works with microcurrent, electromagnetic frequency, and quantum frequencies. And the professional level has over 300 programs, some of which are connected to stem cell regeneration, regenerating up the body, regeneration of the auric field. It's like really, there's the anti-aging programs in here are quite incredible, also for longevity and any kind. There's also bioresonance, and this is like a form of a bioresonance machine as well. So you're going to want to look at like what biohacking tools and techniques call to you. And I say go where you feel called. And actually, for a moment, I do want to go back to, I realized I didn't finish everything I wanted to say when I was talking about cosmetic with the aesthetic industry and the injectables. But I feel like you're better off, instead of doing fillers that can change the shape, in the end, morph how you look. And it doesn't really look better. It just looks like you did something. There's microdermabrasion, different types of facials. There's also facial yoga now, where you can learn to massage the muscles through different types of techniques that you use on the skin. And it's really fascinating. And there's some I do when they have like the different crystal rollers and also the products you use, like using organic products or ones that have been tested in a way that are safe. It's incredible to see what's on the market. So you're better off finding the products that work best for you. And I do think a healthy dose of sun is really important. But then again, I keep wanting to say this thing. If you're going to do any form of an injectable, I do recommend, if I had to pick one, it is the botulism toxin, which is the original trademark name was Botox, but now there's many other, like there's Dysport, there's many other brands now. The reason I say that is because it is a toxin from a bacteria that simply paralyzes your muscle, but the body metabolizes it, so it doesn't stay forever. Whereas with fillers and injectables, the body's like trying to process through it, and it can leave some distortion in the face. Whereas when you get any kind of Botox product or Dysport or whatever botulism toxin, your body will metabolize it. It'll be like you never had it. And it's more about like it paralyzes the muscle than it's actually putting a product or a chemical inside. Of course, it's technically a chemical, right? But it comes from nature, whereas the other ones are made in labs and the body has to figure out how to process it. And it's quite foreign. And here's where we start seeing some distortions in what people can look like. And I think part of aging gracefully is when you're feeling that acceptance for aging and your wisdom. And that's okay, right? We're all aging. And I think the women and also the men that are the most beautiful are the ones who are definitely still taking care of themselves and putting energy and effort into appearance. But there's this confidence still within that you don't need to completely get all this plastic surgery and change what you look like as a way to feel better about the aging process. And I think what you wear and how you dress and how you present yourself. And so a lot of aging is a mental thing. Like if you know that you're on fire and you're confident and radiant and you know how much life you have to live still, this is what's going to speak volumes. It really has nothing to do with your age. And so I just think that part of my mission is really about helping to change the paradigm around aging, especially because I look at time as such a mystical thing, and we can operate in and out of time, like I mentioned, so we can actually kind of like trick the time scale on Earth based on how connected you are to your soul and to your life and your energy beyond the 3D reality. And the more you ascend and go through your spiritual awakening and heal what is not serving you and heal anything within you that is not love, your shadows, the things that keep you small, you will actually look younger and sexier than you ever had in your life. And where I can give an example, did you ever have some kind of treatment, whether it's the facial or a massage or energy work? And when you're finished with the treatment, you go and you look in the mirror, and even like the corner of your eyes are turned upward a little bit more, and your skin even looks better, brighter, tighter. This is because of the work you're doing on the energetic level. And this is where we even get into epigenetics. So epigenetics is how we shift at the DNA level to then shift how our DNA is expressed. So for example, if you heal things, certain types of karmas from your family line, or you heal certain of your own karmas, or you practice forgiveness, etc., whatever it is, all the things that you do, you can actually start to look better with age. Because the truth is, everything is a hologram. So the beauty that you are is also a reflection of the beauty that's on the inside. And what I equate beauty to is love. So the more love you become, the more beautiful you become, the more you age gracefully. And this is why we see when people go through a lot of stress or they harbor a lot of anger and resentment, it's almost like they put on 10 years. They put on years and age. Whereas those who tend to enjoy life and are connected to being love and are in personal development, they become more beautiful. And I've seen it and I've witnessed it in other people, like on social media. We've been following each other for years, and you can just see how people transform. And I truly believe it's your commit. What are you committed to? Are you committed to your healing, your ascension? Are you committed to love? Are you committed to forgiveness and compassion? Are you committed to treating your vessel, your body with the utmost care and doing the practices and the things that like eating the right foods for you that are organic, clean, living healthy, doing the practices like yoga, meditation, qigong, all the different forms of energy practices you can do? Are you still working out? Are you active? What are you putting into and onto your body, right? What energy tools and biohacking tools are you using? How much are you sleeping, etc.? Like, how much do you honor your boundaries and create a life that's fun and graceful, really leaving behind the stress and the drama? All of this is going to reflect in your aging. And so with that, this is just a little wisdom drop, some beautiful words of wisdom to share with you to make you start thinking about your aging process, and maybe to inspire you to not share age anymore and to see how it starts to shift your experience of life, even how people interact and relate to you as well. Because I find there's more of a resonance with everyone when I keep my age anonymous and act from my space of timelessness, which is really from my highest self, which is really from my soul, right? And I really recommend that for everyone. And it's really up to us in the new paradigm to shift the culture, to shift the discussion, the judgments around age, and allow it to be completely irrelevant. Because the babies that are coming in now, the avatar children that are coming in to help evolve the planet, are wiser than any grandparent, And some, of course, grandparents have experience of life, but wisdom comes in many forms and life comes in many forms. And we lived in other places, in other lives, in other timelines, possibly on other planets, but definitely in other lives in this earth. So we all are carrying wisdom with us regardless of our age. And I think it's just so important to stress that. And so you can join me for the bonus content for the anti-aging meditation I will guide you through. That even in the science, they've shown that it decreases telomeres, which are the ends of our DNA. And what they find is with age, our telomeres get shorter. But with this specific form of meditation I'm going to share, it actually helps to lengthen and keep the length of the telomere. So it's a form of anti-aging. It's a fountain of youth meditation. So thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me today. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and tune in every Friday for a new episode. Spread the love and share this episode with someone who may benefit. So much love to you, and remember who you are.